Joining me now is Montana Congressman Ryan Zinke. He's a member of the House Appropriations and Science, Space, and Technology Committees. Congressman, good morning. I know that you're a former Navy SEAL. You did set up protection for heads of state in war zones. What do you think went so wrong in Butler?
Well, I break it down into two phases, really the pre-shot and post-shot. There were so many lapses in communication with protocol, with incompetence, with people not talking, with observers. And then, of course, then you have the post-shot. Look, Ronald Reagan was 1.5 seconds between when he shot it in the car. Remember, he didn't get shot directly as a fragment. So with President Trump, all you know is bleeding. You don't know whether it's one shooter, two shooter, elevated position. And what happens, they bring him down, but he should have been wrapped in a ballistic blanket and gone 2 miles before he noticed he had his shoes up, not on. So there was a number of breaches, and here's where it boils down to. We know there was negligence. We know there was incompetence. We know there was break of protocol, communications, et cetera. But was this incompetence willful and knowing? That's what I want to know. Did you willingly and knowing put the president in a position by atrophying the security and allowing this to happen? Look, if it was knowing and you knew for a fact that your lack of security and bringing it down would put the president at risk, that brings it from assassination plot, attempt into the area of a plot. Big difference between an attempt and a plot, and we're going to find the answers.
Well, the FBI, and I thought this was so strange, they had to come out and confirm that former President Trump was struck in the air by a bullet. But that came after FBI Director Christopher Wray told Congress there is some question whether it was a bullet or if it was shrapnel that hit his ear. So Florida Governor DeSantis joined Maria on Sunday Morning Futures. Watch what he said.
I think these agencies have lost the trust of the American people. I mean, go back to the Las Vegas shooter. We never learned a thing about him. You look at the congressional baseball shooting. I was on that team. Steve Scalise got shot. For years, the FBI said it was suicide by cop. No, this was a radical leftist who targeted Republican congressmen. Now you have the FBI director casting doubt what we saw on TV live. That President Trump was shot in his ear. These agencies are failing the American people. They lack the credibility.
And look, this is why we're getting these hearings and this bipartisan push for answers. Your reaction to what the governor said?
Well, I think he's spot on. Is we have a serious erosion in public confidence. Not only FBI, but I asked the question, what government agency, department, division has the full confidence of the American people? And I can tell you, it comes down to zero. This is what I think that Trump is as much of a movement as it is a candidate, because America is not comfortable where we are. We're not comfortable with watching the Olympics, disgusting display, dishonorable. We're not comfortable with the woke. We're not comfortable about getting beat up on foreign shores. So this is a movement, and I think the assassination plot. If it is a plot, I'm hoping it is an attempt and not a plot. I mean, just the number of inconsistencies and break of protocol and comms and negligence and incompetence. What's America supposed to think?
Yeah,
so we need to run it down the answers. Again, whether this negligence and incompetence was willful. Did they willingly atrophy the security to put our president at risk, at greater risk? We want to know.
Well, and we know, and it was reported initially in the Washington Post and then widely reported that the Trump team had asked for more security. And that really ended up that whole discussion leading to the resignation of Kimberly Cheadle for that and just her willful, disregard for any questions coming from you and your colleagues. But anyway, I want to move on to some other things that have been happening in D.C., especially in the wake of what happened over the weekend. So prosecutors in D.C. dropped charges against 11 of those anti-Israel demonstrators who were arrested that were protesting Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's address to Congress. Only 25 people were arrested. And, a lot of this turned violent at times. People were clashing with police, vandalizing statues. The American flag was burned. And I know you were part of that group of lawmakers who went and raised American flags back up outside of Union Station after they had been ripped down by protesters, and then they put the Palestinian flags up. I mean, it was disgusting what we saw. But what do you think about those charges getting dropped?
Well, I think it leads to a larger pattern. Look, I spent most of my adult life hunting down terrorists, Hamas or Hezbollah or ISIS. To see them in the capital was truly remarkable and a new low for America. I mean, to have our flag ripped down, Ali Akbar and Hamas in the capital. Look, we need to reset now.
Yeah.
And you look at where we're at, and the administration's response was light. Our U.S. Park Police were exposed. They asked for a backup. They didn't get it. So, at the end of the day, look, America, we know we're not here as far as we're not comfortable with this. And the Biden administration has brought us to a point where we have Hamas actively protesting and being released. Look, when I am in Congress, I put in a bill that, look, if you're part of Hamas, you're out of here. You're on a plane, your passport, your visa, that should be immediately nullified, and you need to be on a plane or in prison, because if you're part of Hamas, you're part of a terrorist organization. It's that simple.
Congressman Ryan Zinke, thank you, Congressman, for being here. And the issue of Iran, there's the funding right there that's going into the region and maybe worldwide. Congressman Ryan Zinke, thank you.
Thank you, and God bless. And remember, America, we're going to take it back.
All right. Thank you, Congressman.